Yeah.
Guess you need some writing material.
It would help. Yeah. All right. We're going to be in the book of Job, chapter 20 and verse number 8. Job 20 and verse 8. Take this off of here right quick. All right. Job chapter 20 and verse number 8. Now, as we study the book of Job, we've been studying about the different times in his life and what's been going on. We have the end product. We know that the first 2 chapters of Job tell us all the answers, right? Let's remind ourselves about the big overview of the book, okay? Let's start. Like this here. In the first 2 chapters of Job, what's it about? What's the first 2 chapters about? The whole transpiration, right? The contest. Who brought up the contest? God did it. That's right. It wasn't Satan. God said, hey, Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there's none like him? Right? So this whole book begins with God challenging Satan. And you're going to use this man by the name of Job. All right. Chapters 1 and 2 start with he loses everything that he owns, and then he touches his body in chapter 2. All right. What is chapter 3 about? I won't go to chapter 4, just chapter 3. What's chapter 3 about? Thank you, sister. He cursed the day he was born. He just goes on and on. That I was never born, or the paps that gave me this suck, that I was nursed, and that I would never existed any. That's what we believe drove all this. That his 3 friends looked at him and said, whoa, Job, we're feeling bad for you, but you need to think how things are. So that's the first 3 chapters. And then we begin with the discourse. So let's begin with, what are the names? Okay, that's a pretty clean board, I'll be honest with you. I like that board, boy, that is clean. Ain't never been written on. What's the name of the first friend? That's number 2. Well, so much for that one. Eliphaz and Bildad, those are 2, right? So we have Eliphaz, Bildad, and then Zophar. And Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar was it Naamathite? So these are the 3 friends. Now that we got the 3 friends, we're going to begin with this discourse, okay? So what we're going to find is this. So what happens? Job comes in and he curses the day he was born. And that's followed by a series of things, okay? So first we have Eliphaz. He speaks. So round number 1. What does that begin with? Eliphaz. And what happens? After he speaks, Job responds. Then we get Bildad speaks. And then Job, he responds again and talks. And then Zophar speaks. And then Job speaks again. Then we go to round number 2. And again, what happens? Same thing. Eliphaz will speak. And then Job will speak. By the way, I'm just telling you how the book really is. I'm writing it so you'll see how it is. Then Bildad will speak, and Job responds to him. And finally, Zophar speaks. And then we get Job responds to him. And then we go to round number 3. Round number 3. R-O-U-N-D. Round 3. But this time only 2 guys are going to speak. Eliphaz, he'll begin, and we'll go continue on and on and on. So tonight we are in chapter 20, okay? Got it? So now we're really right here with Zophar speaking and Job's response to him. That's in chapter 20. Overview of where we're at. And by the way, it says the same thing over. You ask yourself, why? This is a book, I want to be honest with you. You feel like, what the Bible said again? It's going to be the same thing. They're going to accuse him of something. He's going to say no. You get wore out reading this. I mean, it's like it just burdens you trying to read this again. They keep going on with imagery about you've done wrong, you've done so-and-so, you did this. And they go right back again. Job says something again, but Job seems to have more insight, Job is in the learning curve, whereas they're not. The friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, they never speak to God. But Job will call on God. God, where are you at? Why don't you help me? God, you're against me. You've done so-and-so to me. You've done this to me. And it's all, he'll speak to God at times. And then Job will come up with these great insights, as we saw in chapter 19. Wow. But those guys just come back harder and harder and harder. We will, then the third round, actually, Eliphaz will start, then Bildad's really short, I think, chapter 25. And we don't hear Zophar anymore. I mean, he's pretty much done. But then we got one last person. There's a character here. It's Elihu. Well, all of us, you never hear from God. I think it is chapter 38. So we got a long ways to go. And the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. I mean, God just hasn't been there. You're like you're down in Egypt. You're the children of Israel. Where's God at? Where is he? I mean, Job is in trouble. I mean, God, why don't you listen to me? Will y'all leave me alone? So he starts talking to them. And they'll say, God, I don't understand. Then they'll come back at him again. And that's what Zophar did in chapter 20. We're in verse number 8. That's where we are this evening. Chapter 20 and verse number 8. I'll start over again. Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, therefore do my thoughts cause me to answer, for this I make my haste. What you're saying, Job, just provokes me. I can't hold my peace. I've got to tell you the truth, Job. I can't believe you're doing this. You know, you ought to take the truth. A man that gets by and gets all this nice stuff, it don't last. That's verse 4 through 11. Knowest thou not this of old, since the man was placed on the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short? Have you not known this has been like this since the beginning of time? People that get ahead in the world, that get by and do all these evil things and make a lot of money, it don't last long. It's short. And the joy of the hypocrite, but for a moment. It doesn't last. Verse 6. Though the excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach to the clouds, yet he shall perish. Now your excellency mounts high, your head reach to heaven, you got all the wealth, it ain't going to last. He says, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He was so great. I don't care how great you are. He's describing Job. Remember, Job was a prominent man. He says, you had all this. But you know what happens to wicked people? They may have a lot in this world, but it don't last. What's the old saying about people that have money? A fool and his money are soon departed. You never heard that, right? A fool and his money soon part. What they're saying is, hey, wicked people and their money soon part. They don't last. You know, it doesn't last. So he says, they'll say, hey, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision in the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more. Neither shall his place be any more behold him. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods. His bones are full of sin and of his youth, which lie down with him in the dust. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, right? Verse 11 starts a new one. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue. In other words, Job, we didn't know you was a wicked man. You hid it under your tongue. You hid all this bad stuff, you know? Though evil is sweet in his mouth, he hides it under his tongue. Though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth. He doesn't let go of his sin. No. Yet his meat in his bowels is turned, and his gall as snakes or asps within him. He says, no. His food will turn sour. It becomes a cobra venom within him. Right? He swallows down these riches. He says he hath swallowed down his riches, and he shall vomit them up again. God shall cast them out of his own belly. Now, what Zophar is just saying, wicked people don't last. It's short. Number two, whatever you get, it's going to come back. You'll vomit it up. No matter how much you've gotten ahead, it's not going to last because you're not a good person, Job. You've done wrong. Have you ever been falsely accused? Have you ever had somebody do you wrong? Vicky and I were talking about people that do you wrong, and they do you like that. Well, that's Job. And what had Job done wrong? Nothing. He knows he's done wrong. Absolutely nothing. Yet he is accused. And they're looking at him like, you're just a rich man that got ahead and you hid that sin you was doing. Oh, yeah, we thought you was a good fellow, but you must have been one of them guys that sneaks around and does some evil stuff, His meat of his bowels is turned. He hath swallowed down riches. I'll vomit up again. Verse 16, he shall suck the poison of asps. The viper's tongue shall slay him. Wow. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey, the butter. No. That which he labored for shall he restore, and he shall not swallow it down. According to his own substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. No. He will restore that which is labored. He will not swallow it down. For the proceeds of his business, he'll get no enjoyment. He'll be oppressed because he hath oppressed, and he hath forsaken the poor. You know what he's accusing Job of? Hey, Job, you've oppressed the poor. That's how you got your money. You made money on the backs of other people. You've oppressed the poor. We know that's a tragedy. You don't oppress people to get money out of them. I was asked on one occasion, because I learned a lesson back when the internet first came out. How many remember a company called Napster? Anybody remember Napster? Okay. You could download songs for free for your own because they hadn't come up with laws against it yet, And I remember a guy told me about it. We downloaded something. Yeah, it's free. And I did it. And I said, this doesn't seem right because you got to pay for this. And Napster, I read one of the articles they put out, said, don't worry about it. We're making money. But I know that we realized they were not paying the copyrights for any of that stuff because they got shut down, right? It became illegal. And then there was a company over there called Shazam, and people started getting prosecuted. You can't do that. It's illegal. But how did they make that money? Do you know? You see, you think that people are being good to you, right? And they're abusing you. They're using you to make money. Oh, listen, we just trying to help you out, trying to save you some money, They got your email address. They sell those emails there. You know what? I got so many email addresses. These are accurate, and you can send to them, and they buy them from them. They made money. I found out there was all kinds of ways to make money off of the poor. Job was being accused of making his wealth off of the poor. Okay. I was asked a question. He said, well, when you make money off the poor, you're using them against their will, right? You're overcharging them, right? You don't have to do that. You could charge a fair price and do that. I was told about there was a medicine came out years ago, and they said, well, they're just gouging the people. They can't afford it. I said, you're right. And they're not making any money either because nobody can afford it. So well, they should not charge that much because it helps people. And it was an ethical dilemma because I went back and I researched. I said, how much does it cost to make this medicine? So they got to make a few $1 million because, first of all, you had to have somebody to develop it. And to develop a bunch of them, then you go to the next level. You got to test it out on rats and see if it works. You got to do all the studies. And guess what? If it doesn't work, you've lost money. You spent all that time and it didn't make it. Well, the one that does make it through, then you got to test it on humans. It's got to be controlled. You got to get it, the process approved through the Food and Drug Administration, make sure it's safe. They do this at medical schools, I'm telling you, because you could always sign up for the weekend to take some experimental drug. But that's how you make, and if the drug, if it fails that, you don't go to market. So they have to charge a lot of money to make it. And it's always, nobody knows what they're charging. But you can make money off poor people, especially if there's a time when nobody's got money. Remember Jerry Clower's line? Well, you know, he sold a lot of cotton when the Depression, made a lot of money. Yeah. If you're the only one working and nobody else has got it, you make money, just like Egypt made money. You can make money off the poor. And a lot of people have made their money off the poor. Now, Bill Gates, he made money, didn't he? Why did he make it up? Well, he overcharged people. You don't have to buy it, do you? By the way, if they got a product out, do they out there to hold your hand out there and make you sign or get your card, make you put it in there to buy that iPhone 13? No, they'll stand in line. People ain't got hardly nothing. They'll stand in line. Gotta have it. Gotta have it. Huh? That's not taking people's money, but people will tell you they're gouging folks. What do you do with somebody? What if there's a miracle drug that will cure cancer completely, but you can't afford it?
You single parent.
Huh?
How does those companies, since you brought it up, how does those companies make money then?
The ones that make money?
The prescription companies that will lower your prescription.
Through
Like
coupons?
Sinclair.
Oh, they're making money. Don't have. Find out. Nobody works without making money. The Bible is clear that the love of money is the root of all evil. Man is evil. What's at the root of it? Money. They will kill you. If you don't believe it, don't listen to the song. Just listen to the words from the song from the 1970s by the OJs. For the love of money. Just read the lyrics. For the love of money, you'll steal from your own mother. You'll sell so and so. They'll do it. They make money, sister. They'll tell you that. All the companies come on there and say, look, if you're in debt, call us. We'll get here for tax relief. We'll help you do so and so. By the way, the new one out called Truebill, right? See that Truebill? We'll go through and we'll find out where all your money, and we'll save you money. So I researched it a couple of nights ago. Well, the money you save, they get a percentage of it. Oh, we're going to save you $10,000. We're only going to get, 5%, 10%. $10,000, that's $1,000. That's pretty good. Just how long did it take them to make that? They make money, okay? The point is, they're accusing Job of making money off the poor. Even then, it was a bad thing to do. Nowadays, we say we're making money off the poor. As I told my wife in 1997, Michael Jordan signed on the line, says, I'll play one more year for $23 million. For 1 year just to play. And she said, no man should make that kind of money but playing basketball. And I told her, I said, baby, is he forcing anybody to look at him? Because you ain't going to go see him. You won't even turn on the TV. Is he forcing anybody to go to that stadium and buy a ticket? No. If they want to, they'll go. If you don't, you don't. That's why they try to tell people all these gambling joints, we're going to try to close them down because it's making people poor and it's suppressing them. The problem is the people are evil. They want to gamble and they don't mind throwing it away. And then what happened? Well, they're a victim of their circumstance. They do Curly, the Three Stooges, Curly. I'm a victim of circumstance. It's not my fault. Remember across the highway in 401 South in Laurinburg? We had all those places that crop up when it was legal in South Carolina. I had a patient, every time she got her Medicare check come in, she was broke. Somebody trying to help her out the rest of the month because she wanted to go out there and she gambled, trying to get ahead. They were addicted to it. Did they force them to go down there? No. We have forgotten that, but it just, I'm sorry, I don't want to go taking much time on this. But the point is, they were accusing him of making his money off of the poor because he hath oppressed and forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he had built and not. You took away people's stuff they did, you didn't even build. You took their stuff away. Well, I bought the house, I bought so-and-so. And the laws are supposed to try to help us out with that, but if you're listening to me, I'm going to tell you the truth, because God is about the truth. And I'll try that doesn't harm people, but sometimes you can't help it. So let me bring out you a big truth, because right now we're in the middle of the surge has died down. COVID is not, it's not non-existent. I'm still diagnosing every now and then, but it's quiet right now. So here we go. You ready? We live in America where on one hand, they'll look at you and say, I said, because this is what I said, what's the science? What is the science behind this? And they're looking at you and saying, I can't believe it, because the African Americans were back with the Lumbees in Robeson County, way down, we didn't get vaccinated. We just didn't. And I kept hearing this from on the news, and I would hear people say, I can't believe they won't take that vaccine. Why would they believe the science behind it? It's proven. And so I said, well, God, give me the insight for this, because I know that there's a God. God has an answer to everything, and it's right in this book. And I remember the day when God told me, he said, son, all you got to do is look at the government. They're looking at people now, and they're trying to convince people, saying, believe the science. What is? Believe the truth. The facts are there. When they've been telling us for the past 10 years that that man believes he's a woman, I don't care what the facts are, what is the science, take him, he's got to be what he is. And whatever he believes, you got to accept him. If he believes he's a woman, that's fine. If he believes he's not a man or a woman, that's fine. It doesn't matter about the facts. Whatever he believes, and I'm going to put a law in there that you have to accept what he believes. You don't have to believe the science. And then you're going to turn around and criticize these people because they don't believe the science. That's the hypocritical state we're in now, and nobody sees it. Nobody's willing to look at it. I said, God, just look at the truth. So don't criticize people when they don't want to take the vaccine. They've been sold a bill of goods. They've been told one thing, and then they tell you something else. Why should you believe them? They tell you one thing, you don't believe the science. Then they do believe it. Well, which is which? As Andy and Opie were talking the other night, and he was trying to explain to Opie, how come, Daddy, when I did it, it was wrong. But when you're going to sell the house and you're going to tell them all the bad stuff in it, so it's wrong for children, but it's okay for adults. Andy said, you better go to bed. You can't say both things. Okay? Okay, that's brutally honest. But that's just lies. Tell the truth. The fact is this, what? Jesus rose the third day morning. It is not a belief. By the way, Christianity is not a blind faith. You say, well, you live by faith. No, we don't live by faith. We live by the fact that Jesus died for our sins. Now, the fact that he did that, the overwhelming evidence is there that he did it, and the reason he did it. Now, yes, I live by faith that anything he said is absolutely true, and I'll believe it all. Don't need to have the facts behind me. Why? Because that one instant is so true. The day that I was saved is so real and so true that it makes everything that he said always true. That's living by faith. But it is predicated on an absolute fact that happened in your life and in mine if you're born again. Job, you have been making money off the poor. You're taking people's houses that wasn't even yours. By the way, you could say that. Wait a minute. What about that man by the name of Joseph? Didn't they steal them people's land? Those of you have been following along in the book of Exodus. How did Pharaoh make his money? Joseph did it. After them 7 years of good, the famine came. People came and they bought all that grain. Well, the grain run out. They come back. We ain't got no more money. All right, well, sell me your cattle. What cattle you got? So they sold their cattle. They got money. Well, the famine is still hard. They got no more cattle. They got no more money, but they're starving. We'll sell you our land, and we'll make ourselves slaves to you. So pretty soon, Pharaoh owned all the cattle. He owned all the land. He had all the money, and the people were slaves to him. And Joseph said, I'll tell you what, Pharaoh's a good man. You go back to your homeland. Now, you know it belongs to Pharaoh, don't it? Yep. But you can work that land, and all that you make on it, all you got to do is just give him 20%. You just pay 20% in taxes. You keep all the rest. And if you have a good year, you make more money. You're making money for us. And you can still stay on the land. Isn't that what we have today? Does anybody here own your own land? I don't own my house. My land's mine, but what happens if you don't pay the taxes? They'll take it, won't it? It ain't yours. Same way, right? But Joseph didn't cheat those people. He sold them. They had no money. They had to buy. Well, he ought to have been good to them and do that. He ought to have done it out of the goodness of his heart. Why? It belonged to him. Well, I'd have done it. Are you sure? Don't ever say that. I love when people tell you what you ought to do with your own money. Tell Joseph, y'all just helped everybody out. No, God had a purpose in it. Job, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly, and he shall not save of that he desired. You're not going to make anything of all you've done because you've been mean to people. Nothing is left for him to eat. There's none of his meat left. Therefore no man shall look for his goods, because he ain't going to have nothing left. That's what happens to a wicked man, Job. Job 20, verse 21. No man will look for your goods. It won't be there. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and he shall rain it upon him while he is eating. That's what happened to you, ain't it, Job? Yeah. You know, he starts this chapter off, all that money, it don't last. And then God comes after you like this. That's what happened to you. He says in verse 24, he shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. He says he'll flee from an iron weapon, a bronze bow will pierce him through. He'll think he's got by with this year, but justice is going to find him out, right? Justice will find him. It is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. Yeah, a wicked man may have it for a while as he starts the chapter off. He makes a lot of money. You got a lot of wealth, but it doesn't last. And God comes for him. Terrors are upon him. Verse 26, all darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. An unfanned fire is going to consume him. In fact, it shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. That's what happened to Job. This is the portion of the wicked man of God, and the heritage appointed to him by God. So far is, wait a minute, didn't he say this before in round one? I think he said the same thing, didn't he? They keep saying the same thing over and over and over. You know what they're doing? Have you ever had the time when you wanted to say something when somebody was talking, but you wanted to say something because it's wrong, that's wrong, and you wanted to tell them all, I got to get them set straight, right? That's what they're doing here. They'll go back and forth until they exhaust each other. They will exhaust each other until they can't go any longer. And when all is said and done, when everybody gets through talking, God shows up and says, I need to talk to Job. Job, where were you? You want to talk about me? Where were you when I laid the foundation of the world? And God comes in and speaks. God has not spoken, brothers and sisters. In chapter 2, he spoke. In chapter 1, he spoke. But after this, nothing. Listen to the response. Job answers this man by the name of Zophar. And by the way, I think it's the last time. I don't think Zophar speaks anymore. Anybody else know? I think this is the last time he speaks. Job 21, but Job answered and said, hear diligently my speech, and let this be your consolation. He said, I got a problem with this. And I think this is one of the times when Job really does get a good, he sticks it to him pretty good. He's got a very good argument. And I think this argument is going to reign true today. And I'm going to ask you if this is applicable. I want you to tell me. Tell me if you see this as we go through it here. He looks at him and he says, I'm going to say something. Suffer me that I may speak. And after that I have spoken, malk on. Keep on malking. Just let me get a word in so far, and then you can keep on malking. As for me, is my complaint to man? If it were so, why should not my spirit be troubled? Even when I remember, I am afraid, and trembling taketh hold of my flesh. Wherefore do the wicked live? Become old, yea, are mighty in power. I'm sorry, man, but you're dead wrong. You say the wicked always get their comeuppance. I see plenty of people that are wicked. They're driving nice cars, got big houses, got lots of money. Don't tell me that happens all the time. Now, you're right. Now, what he was saying has a lot of truth to it, but not in Job's account. And Job says, have you ever seen a man that's wicked have a lot of money? By the way, have you ever seen that? Yeah, we see it all the time. We see plenty of wicked people. What was that man that played on MASH? Will Ferrell? Well, it's not Ferrell. Not Will Ferrell. I guess his name. He played BJ. He was a liberal advocate, and he was talking about abortion and stuff. And I would hear these people. Have you heard these people talk about abortion as if it's not a big deal? Do you know the new thing they got out now about pedophilia? They have a attraction to young people. Don't call them pedophiles anymore. They're trying to legalize that. They're trying to make it's okay. Right now, we have school systems that are trying to make it to where, as the young lady said in this room here, the 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, they can choose whatever gender they want to be. Parents won't do it, but we'll do it at school to make sure they know that. They're passing laws for that. I would encourage you, don't send your kids to a public school unless you know that school. Do not trust your children for what they're going to put inside of them. And by the way, the people you elect for your school board, they will lie to you like all politicians. Take them on, ask them what they believe. And if they say that, all you got to do is go to their church and find out. You can find out. You can find out people around them, what do they believe? Well, I just do that because I'm just trying to do so and so. I'm sorry, no, you're lying. You just make an excuse. You've always believed that. If church people don't start standing up, we're never going to have it right. Brothers and sisters, people are evil and they get away with it and they make a lot of money. They don't always suffer. And that's what Job is trying to say. He says, no, it's not like that. You're wrong. He says, look, put your hand, he says, verse number 5, mark me and be astonished. Lay your hand upon your mouth. You mark my word, you will put your hand over your own mouth. Even when I remember, I'm afraid, and trembling takes hold of. Wherefore do the wicked live and become old? Yea, are mighty in power. Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. They make money, they have lots of money, and their young ones have got money too. And they always live high and mighty. My wife asked me the other day, well, does the Queen of England, what's she saying about this? I said, baby, she don't have the power. She's just like she's just for show. They got their own parliament and their prime minister. I said, but you'd be amazed but they got money. And they can do whatever they want to. And they can get away with it. What was the guy that committed suicide in the prison? Epstein. How many Epsteins are there out there like that don't get caught? Plenty. In other countries, they are already doing this. It just hasn't gotten to the United States yet. You know why? Because of an empty room like this where we have very few people that come. And you pray and say, God, make it right. Don't take a lot of people. It only takes one man to stand in the gap. One woman that'll get on her knees and tell God about it. That's why we have it as good as we do. But it's dwindling. You know why? Because we're rubbing elbows with people and taking their advice, not telling the truth. Just because a man has got money don't mean he's right, and wicked people don't always suffer. That's what he means by this. No, their houses are safe from fear. Neither is the rod of God upon them. Look at verse 9. Yes, they make lots of money. They live their whole lives to make money, and nothing's ever done about them. By the way, did you know the fundamental portion of marriage? I wish I had a way to post this here. I'm going to read something for you very quickly. Now listen to this. I won't read the whole thing, but this is on October 3rd, 2003. Anybody remember who was president at that time? White House memo, Marriage Protection Week by the President of the United States proclamation. Marriage is a sacred institution, and its protection is essential to the continued strength of our society. Marriage Protection Week provides an opportunity to focus on efforts of preserving the sanctity of marriage and on building strong and healthy marriages in America. Marriage is a union between a man and a woman, and my administration is working to support the institution of marriage by helping couples build successful marriages and be good parents. To encourage marriage and promote the well-being of children, I have proposed a healthy marriage initiative to help couples develop skills, and I can send you the rest of this. At the end, he says, during a marriage week, protection week, I call on all Americans to join me in expressing support for the institution of marriage with all its benefits to our people, our cultural society. Now, therefore, I, George W. Bush, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim the week of October 12th through October 18th, 2003 as Marriage Protection Week. I call upon the people of the United States to observe the week with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 3rd day of October in the year of our Lord 2003, and in the independence of the United States of America 228. Now that was written by the President of the United States of America. Didn't think much of it. He stood for marriage. But he couldn't do so and so and so on. Listen, the greatest downfall of any society is when marriage breaks down. How true it was when he entitled his program, Focus on the Family. Wicked people prosper, brothers and sisters, and they sit in our churches. They sit in our pews. They preach from our pulpits, and they dictate to us. Preacher told me the other day, well, you know, they sent in the elder, the ruling body, to tell me that, you know, you can't do such and such and such and such. I said, didn't you tell him? So wait a minute, you know I'm the pastor, don't you? Well, you know, they have their constitution in this denomination, and the elders from the association came. It wasn't Baptist. Brothers, God didn't set it up like that. Sisters, God didn't set it up like that. Evil people make a lot of money. They live, they prosper. They even prosper on the church. You might as well say amen. They make a lot of money taking money from poor people. Job says, I'm telling you, their houses are safe. Their houses there's no rod of God upon them. Verse 10, their bull genereth and faileth not. Their cattle, they make plenty of money. They make good cattle. Their cow calveth and casteth not her calf. In other words, she has good calves. They got plenty of money. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They got plenty. They live a life of Riley. Right? They take the timbrel and the harp and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. In other words, to the day they die, they live the high life. What are you talking about so far? That doesn't happen. You know it doesn't. There are lots of wicked people that live prosperous. You tell me because I'm in trouble, I've done something wrong, and only evil people have bad things happen. And if I was in prosperity, I was good. So let me set you straight. You tell me to call on the days of old? No. Let me tell you what it's like. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed on the earth, verse 4? No, you got it wrong in chapter 20 and verse number 4. This has always been like this. He says, no, you're wrong. You are absolutely wrong. They do prosper. Verse 14, therefore they say unto God, depart from us. We desire not the knowledge of thy ways. They tell God they don't want him, and they go right on their way, and they make money. That's the way they are. And finally, verse 15, what is the Almighty that we should serve him? What profit should we have if we pray unto him? We're not going to do it. Lo, their good is not in their hand. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. Have you considered? Have you thought about this? Have you really thought this through? Because a lot of wicked people make a lot of money. By the way, in Hollywood, how many people make money? Lots of them, you know? And by the way, and they'll, to make that money and to keep that money, oh yeah. Remember that? What was the other year? It was, oh yeah. Yeah, go, let him in for me. Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah. That's him. Pull on the one on the left side. Pull the left on your left. Yeah, we got it. You got it. It's still on, bro. Oh, well, okay. Letting somebody in. All right. When we as a society look upon people and say, God's blessed them because they got something nice, don't think that way anymore. Don't curse somebody and say they've done something wrong when something bad happens to them, right? Don't do it. It's not that way. That's not the way it works. And Job is just saying, this is reality, guys. Now let's move on. Job 21:17. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out? And how oft cometh their destruction upon them? That's an exclamation point in my Bible. God distributed sorrows in his anger, right? Verse 18, chapter 21. They are as stubble before the wind, and as a chaff in the storm carrieth away. God layeth up his iniquity for his children. He rewarded him, and he shall not know it. Right? God shall lay up his iniquity for his children. He rewarded him, and he shall know it. Yeah. In other words, his destruction is going to come, but it's in God's time. In other words, what did Jesus say? Hey, let the wheat and the chaff grow together. Let the wheat and the tare grow together. God will separate them at the end. Yes, destruction is coming, but it may not be in their lifetime, right? By the way, in Luke chapter 16, when the rich man died, was he still rich when he died? Yeah. Nobody saw his destruction, right? Nobody saw it. That's what Job's point is. But it is going to come. It is going to happen. Verse 20, verse number 20, his eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what pleasure hath he in his house after him, when the number of his month is cut off in the midst? Just understand, they do get their comeuppance. But it's not the way you're talking about, Zophar. It doesn't work that way. Because can anyone, shall any teach God? Can you teach God knowledge? No. Seeing he judges those that are high, one dieth in his full strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. His breasts are full of milk, and his bones are moistened with marrow. And another dieth in bitterness of soul, and never eateth with pleasure. Wow. Some people have it good, and some people have it bad. Is that life? Yep. Mm-hmm. I'll put it in the right. Let me put it in the proper way. One lives in pleasure. He is always full Another one, he lives in misery. Yeah, bitterness. And he's always seemingly empty. This is the end. They all die. Every single one of them, they all go to the same thing happens to them all. Jesus said on one occasion, fear not him that can destroy the body, but him that can destroy body and soul in hell. Listen, the wheat and the tare may grow together, but God shall judge. God will separate. That's going to happen to them after a while. Don't worry, it's coming. No, one dieth full of strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. His breasts are full of milk, his bones are moistened with marrow, and another dieth in the bitterness of his soul, and never eateth with pleasure. They shall lie down alike in the dust, and the worms shall cover them. They're all going to die. They're all going to the dust, and it's going to cover them. James said it like this. We got time. Go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow we shall go into such a city, and continue there a year, and buy and sell and get gain. For ye know not what shall be on the morrow. What is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little while and then vanisheth away. For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. So what is a man or a woman supposed to do all the days of her life? All the days of his life? God, what would you like me to be today? What do you want me to do? That's what your job is, right? We raise our children, have ambition to do so and so, to make something of yourself in this world, as opposed to saying to them, hey, follow God now. Don't forget to follow God. What am I going to be when I grow up? Well, you got to listen to God now. Make sure the Lord tells you. We don't say that, do we? But that's what God wants us to be. Because at the end, they're all going to be the same. If you make a lot of money, you got happiness, it flees away from you. Read the book of Ecclesiastes. You think you can find happiness? You'll be happy today. You'll be sad tomorrow. That's just the way it is. Get used to it. But look, they all lie down alike in the dust, and the worm shall cover them. Look, he said, don't you know this from old? 20 verse 4. And he said, yeah, I do know what old is. And this is the absolute truth. One lives in pleasure, he's full. One lives in misery and bitter, he's empty. But they're all going to die the same death. It won't do him a bit of good, right? In hell, the rich man lifted up his eyes, had nothing with him. You don't carry a thing with you. Nothing at all. There's nothing at all you take with you. It is the end. By the way, when they would bury those guys in the tombs and put all those trinkets of gold and silver and all those things with those, when they would die, they found their bones. Somebody said, well, that doesn't mean their soul's not there. You know, they're going to heaven, you know. That's what the gold's still here. They didn't take it with them, did they? There's the silver. If they've gone somewhere, that's great, but whatever you buried with them, it didn't go with them. Either way you look at it. No, they're all the same. Now, he looks at his friends and he says, now after saying this, I've just told you the truth. You tell me that a man that lives in pleasure, he's been prospering by God. And a man like you are, guess what? You've sinned. I'm telling you no, that I see a lot of people that live a prosperous life and they're wicked people, even though they got a lot of money. Don't tell me that's the way it is. And then he looks at him and says, behold, I know your thoughts and devices, which you wrongfully imagine against me. I know what you're thinking. I know your thoughts, and it's wrong what you're saying about me. It's absolutely wrong. No. Well, you say, where is the house of the prince? And where are the dwelling places of the wicked? Have you not asked them that go by the way? And do you not know their tokens? Have you not looked? Where is the house of the prince? Where is his tent? Where is the dwelling place of the wicked? Have you not asked those who travel the road? Do you not know their tokens or their signs? The wicked is reserved to the day of destruction. They shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. who shall declare his way to his face. Who will do it? Who shall repay him what he hath done? Yet shall he brought to the grave, and shall remain in the tomb. The clods of the valley shall be sweet on him, and every man shall draw after him, as they're innumerable before him. Everyone shall follow him, as countless have gone before him. Every rich person dies. They die. Well, I'd rather live with pleasure for just a season. Listen, I promise you, you will soon be forgotten. You can be great. You can be famous. Not everybody will be Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods will always be remembered on the golf course. You know why I know that? Because I can remember seeing that old man when he would come out there on the golf course. I can't remember his name now. Arnold Palmer and the guy with him and Jack Nicklaus, but there was another guy. Always wore the black hat. But this old guy, but Arnold Palmer would come on there. He would walk out there, get ready to put, going to hit a few things. And everybody just stands in because they knew what he had done. Everybody's not an Arnold Palmer. And by the way, pretty soon, they'll forget Arnold Palmer. They'll forget him. Chichi Rodriguez. Maybe that was him. There was a lot of them that were great. They remember, but soon your name doesn't ring a bell. Pretty soon they're gone. They don't remember them anymore. It's like the people right now are trying to get rid of the woke society. And there's a lot of truth to being, again, you'll find, just like in the book of Job, I've learned something. There's a lot of truth in being woke. I knew that all along. They said, well, we discovered that America in 1492 when the Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Well, they already told us the Indians were already here. I went home and I remember telling them that. Miss Maggie, the Indians were already here. Yep, it was already here, son. Well, how did we discover it? Well, the white man discovered it. Oh, okay. So we knew that. It didn't bother me. I said, well, the white man discovered it then, but we was already here. You get all the history and you read all those things. Now you're trying to erase it. Pretty soon they won't even know who Martin Luther King is. You know why? Because you'll erase all the oppression. Well, Martin Luther King was against oppression. What oppression? Well, we weren't allowed to read that when we was growing up. That was hid from the books. Oh, we better teach them what that was, shouldn't we? We got to tell them about oppression. Otherwise, Martin Luther King doesn't mean anything, does he? It won't have any meaning at all. And I tell you, if you don't think it's going to repeat, it'll repeat, because man is going to make slaves of other people. He just disguises it. He disguises it now. I won't go into it, but I just will never get out of my head to seeing that lady hiding her bruises because she is stuck in a welfare system created by people that say they love you. She has no hope. She's had 3 kids, and this has been 20 years ago, but I remember it to the day. 3 children. The men weren't in her life. It was for more than one man. She has no way to get around. She has to stay wherever they put her in whatever project it is. No matter how safe or unsafe it is, she has to live there. She could only buy so much money back then when they had this stamp you take in. Only certain things she could buy to eat. She could never afford a car. She could never get other things. Stuck in a system. They just changed the form of slavery. It's wrong. Give people opportunity. Instead of teaching children how to get grown and get you I'm going to get me a baby so I can get out on my own. They say that. And you know that. And you know what they'll tell you? Well, I don't want to hear that. That's just discrimination. All they're doing is saying we want to make people slaves, keep them under our hand where we can just take the money and we'll distribute the wealth and we'll be in charge. That's all it's about. It's the same way that it's always been since the beginning of time. Job has told the truth. Many evil people do prosper. He said, let me get you guys straight. No. Wicked people are going to get what's coming to them. It's going to happen. And all the people before him the same way. How then comfort ye me in vain, seeing your answers remaineth in falsehood? You guys are false. All of them, everybody's going to get their comeuppance. Death is going to set it right. Now, Job had the insight here. He's absolutely right. So far in his last discourse, he says, I got you. How can you tell me this? I know what's going to make it right. You wait till we die. And in Luke chapter 16, the Bible says that the poor man who begged for the crumbs that fell from a rich man's table, the dogs came and licked his sores. But he was comforted when he died, and the rich man died, and in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, in the flame. And he had good sense. He could remember, I got 5 brothers. Hey, send Lazarus back from the dead. They'll believe that. Still lost, wasn't he? He didn't understand. You don't believe miracles. He said they got Moses and the prophets. In other words, they got the word of God. If they don't believe the word of God, it will do no good for a miracle. I don't care if a man rises from the dead, it won't make any difference. They have Moses and the prophets. They got the word of God. Death will set things right. And that's the fact, the truth of Job. I think he did a good job. And he says, hey, and you are going to comfort me with empty words? Your answers are filled with lies. That's pretty harsh, isn't it? Job hit him between the eyes, didn't he? I got you. I know there's a lot of things here. Job is bringing out a lot of good points. They bring some things that are great, but not with Job. They can't get beyond their own noses saying, you've done wrong. But the opposite of that is saying, yeah, people that do wrong are like you. He said, no, tonight we saw lots of evil people prosper. Job says, just because people are wicked doesn't mean you think people are making money. No. Wicked people ain't just people that get in trouble like me. They're also rich people that make lots of money. So anyway, we'll stop there. We'll pick up there next week. We'll start at verse number 22, Eliphaz. We'll go on round number 3, okay? He'll go, and then Job will answer him, right? And then we'll have this, where's Bildad? Yeah, chapter 5, 25. Bildad, he won't have a 6 verses that he'll say, you know? All right, and then we'll go on and we'll hear, we're going to get in the heart of this where Job just goes, and finally this guy, Elihu, but we got some really good deep thought. But it'll wear you out, this book. It'll wear you out after a while. It will, but God wants us to see it. They're going to exhaust all answers that they can come in with. Let's stand and have a word of prayer and be dismissed. God bless you. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Don't forget, tomorrow is the Passion night. This is the Passion Week, but tomorrow night, on a Thursday night, that we believe that they had the Lord's Supper. That night, he was tried at the house of Annas, the former high priest, then at Caiaphas' house, and then he went to Pilate early in the morning. And then he was taken to Herod, brought back. He was beaten. He was scourged. Then he was turned over to the Jews, and they agreed to crucify him. But the Romans did it, and they led him to the cross on Friday morning at 9 a.m. God bless you. Hope you'll be remembering that. Have a good night. All right.